Hello guys and welcome here to another edition of Out of Turn 4. We hope you had a safe and healthy and fun 4th of July weekend. Of course, coming up on the show, we are going to discuss NASCAR at Road America. We are also going to talk about the IndyCar at Mid-Ohio. We are also going to discuss SRX at Stafford, the F1 crash that happened this weekend. Yeah, you're going to want to hear about this. Of course, we're also going to talk about one of the sponsors of a driver in NASCAR that has filed for bankruptcy and what this could mean going forward. And we will also have our race weekend picks. That's all coming up. But of course, we start with Road America. And I feel we started off with the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Ty Gibbs gets his 4th win of the season, of course, holding off defending champion of the NASCAR Cup Series, Kyle Larson, for the victory. It is Ty Gibbs' 4th win of the season. And of course, that wasn't the big moment of the race, but I do have to applaud Mr. Ty Gibbs because he actually ran a clean race with the NASCAR Cup Series champion. Again, something we're not accustomed to with Ty Gibbs. I believe that's the first time in his entire career that he has run someone clean to the finish. So congrats, good win for Ty, and I think good for his respect in the garage area. Anyway, the big story of the race, though, was Noah Gragson and Sage Karam. Of course, Noah Gragson was run a little bit off the track by Sage and decided to get even. So Gragson turned Sage Karam on track, and it caused a huge cloud of dust and smoke and led to a giant crash involving a bunch of other cars. And of course, my immediate thoughts are, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong about Noah Gragson. Of course, this year, I've said he's definitely a good candidate to move up to the NASCAR Cup Series. I know there's a lot of open rides available. A few and some pretty good teams, of course. This definitely set him back. That much I will say. I feel like this really set him back. And I think it just continues to show the immaturity. This is something we would expect from Ty Gibbs, not from Noah Gragson, year 3 in the Xfinity, also kind of running a part-time Cup schedule. And I think the other big thing to take from this is you do have Cup teams watching. Of course, Rick Hendrick had a car in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race this week. So Rick Hendrick had a car in the field. Tony Stewart, Gene Haas, they had a car in the field as well. And mind you, they're going to have an open seat this offseason. Let's see, the other one is Joe Gibbs, another uncertainty, of course. And Matt Collig, the guy who owns Noah Gragson's part-time Cup Series endeavor. So there's 4 guys that ultimately could eye Noah Gragson for a future ride. And I feel like stunts like that certainly don't help his case in terms of moving up the ladder. They certainly don't do anything to help him in terms of moving up to the Cup Series full time. That's something he needs to be thinking about, and that's something he really should have thought about, not just the Xfinity Championship in terms of big picture, but big picture in terms of the future of his career. And I feel like that really shows. I don't think it'll have as detrimental as an impact as you'd think, but it certainly is something that these Cup owners are weighing on, because they're like, he took out half the field trying to get back at a driver who just ran him a little off-road. That's something he needs to work on. Okay, year 3 in Xfinity, I'm sorry. There's no excuse, okay, at this point. You're either Cup ready or you're not in year 3. That's just my opinion. Year 3, year 4, you're Cup ready or you're not. That's where I think Brandon Jones is, and Brandon Jones is not Cup ready. So Noah Gragson certainly I think Cup teams took notice of what happened. I hope they did. I hope it doesn't cost him a ride, because I really do think he is. I feel like this is the year he's going to go to Cup, but I feel like this certainly put a dent in his future plans, and it's certainly going to be something that is brought up when he is discussing his plans for 2023 with other teams. So hopefully it doesn't have the impact that we hope it does. Or that I hope it doesn't have the impact that we think it does, is what I meant to say. Tyler Reddick on the Cup side. He finally gets his first career Cup Series win at Road America. It is also the first win for RCR since 2020 at Texas, when Austin Dillon went to victory lane before the playoffs. Of course, this race, the first one technically caution-free if you don't include the stages. It was the first caution-free race since about 2002. And, of course, not much passing going on. You really just saw follow the leader most of the race. Most of the passing was on pit lane. And, of course, in between stages, or when the guys were trying to beat the leader to the pits to close the pit road for the stage end, or whatever you want to call it. Ultimately, I will say, I think everybody is happy for Tyler Reddick. There's very few people that I think are unhappy that Tyler Reddick won. And me as a Chase Elliott fan, I wanted to see Chase win. I am so happy to see Tyler Reddick win. Chase wins quite a lot. And obviously, I'd love to keep seeing my driver win races. But I'm happy for Tyler Reddick. He's a guy kind of like Chase Elliott. He's got talent. We know he could be a Cup champion in the future if he gets a good ride. Okay? I feel like he's that kind of guy. I think he's got that kind of caliber in him. But I feel like in the same way that Chase Elliott's been kind of screwed in his first few years of Cup racing, where he's had to finish second so many times before finally getting first place himself. I feel like, that's comparable in terms of that. So that's why I'm just so happy for Tyler Reddick. Again, he deserves this win. As far as my thoughts on the race, if this was supposed to save Road America, it's gone. All I'm going to say, I think this race solidified Road America's future. I think it's going to be off the schedule next year. As much as I hate to say it, because I feel like one race shouldn't dictate it. And I feel like Road America, again, Road America is this race that fans, much like with Montreal, when NASCAR, the Xfinity Series went to Montreal, I think a lot of people were asking for a Cup race there. And it never materialized. This is kind of a similar situation. I feel like now it did finally happen, and it didn't live up to the expectations, and I feel like it was a very bland race. So I don't see this track returning. And again, I want it to. Put me on the record as I want Road America back, for at least on a 1-year deal. I would like to see it back on a 1-year deal. I feel like, again, this race, terrible race, but Road America is still easily the second best road course track in the United States. And that, of course, is second to Watkins Glen. So, I just want to see one more race there. I feel like ultimately, yes, this race was a disappointment. The winner, I think it was a popular win. The racing itself was not very good. I'll agree with everyone there. But I feel like the racing that we saw on Sunday, the racing we've seen in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Road America, I feel like that would put on a way better show than anything a Chicago street course, a Toronto street course, or any street course race for that matter could put on. So, I feel like that race could put on a better, or I feel like those tracks could put on, or that track can put on a better race than any street course that NASCAR, IndyCar, whoever decides to build. Just my opinion on that. And, not for nothing, this race was boring, but it was still, to me, I was hooked more to the TV for that race than I ever was for a Texas race. So, again, I'm going to double down on what I've said all year, and I'm going to double down on what most fans said. If NASCAR really listened to the fans, it would be ditch Road America, or keep Road America and ditch Texas Motor Speedway. I'm going to keep doubling down on it. I'll triple down. I'll keep downing on it as long as it takes for NASCAR to finally see it. And they probably won't. I want to release my ideal schedule. Today is just not the day to do it. Of course, we do have until August when the NASCAR Cup Series schedule does get revealed. I hope to do a special, probably is what it's going to take to get, our off-season special. That's what I feel like it's going to take for us to talk about it, because we're at the point of the year now where racing is ramping up. Off-season news is just as big now. So we may have to do a special. Keep your eyes peeled. Or just stay tuned here to TSE for any updates in terms of a special for the 2022 or 2023 NASCAR silly season. Off to IndyCar now. Scott McLaughlin. It was an interesting race in Mid-Ohio, and I'm telling you, for those who don't know and didn't watch at this point last year, I was at Mid-Ohio for the 2021 race, and unfortunately I couldn't go back this year. Work kind of decided that for me. But Scott McLaughlin won for the first time ever in front of his family. Of course, his mom and dad have not been to the track since his move to IndyCar. They were there today, making that win oh so special. It is his second win of the season. But of course, again, and much like the NASCAR Xfinity race at Road America with Noah Gragson, we had a similar situation, I think, here. Two teammates get together. Roman Grosjean and Alexander Rossi get together. And of course, Rossi hits one of the bumps, kind of lost his grip on the steering wheel. You saw him have to let go. He kind of just lost his grip. Slams into Roman Grosjean. They both go into the gravel trap and then immediately, race through it, get out. And Roman Grosjean had some choice words on the radio about his teammate, and it didn't stop there. Of course, a similar situation happened between Alexander Rossi and Devlin DeFrancesco. So, two late race incidents with Alexander Rossi involved. Of course, the second one he did get penalized for avoidable contact. And I believe Roman Grosjean had to serve a penalty as well for that late in the race, or else he was just trying to stay close to Alexander Rossi to try something. Of course, Roman kept getting screamed at on the radio, think big picture, think team big picture. And, Grosjean's like, why the hell would I help him, in a way. But Rossi did talk to the media post-race, where Grosjean did not. And Rossi had said, like we saw on the cameras, he lost control of the steering wheel. And that led Kevin Lee to ask the question, is this, do you care to fix these relationships? Again, this is to the effect of what he asked. But he asked to the effect of, with you leaving, are you just checked out at this point, or are you still going to try to help your teammates? Rossi said absolutely he still wants to help his Andretti teammates. He still wants to be a team player because he's still under contract with them. Again, it's, I side with people that say that Roman's not the best driver in the world. I do side with people that say, yeah, Roman's a very aggressive driver. and it's true. He's naturally a very aggressive driver. You know, he certainly makes some really stupid decisions, and I will side with everyone that says that. This one, though, I don't feel anyone's at fault. Initially, I mean, I'm more Team Grosjean than anything else, but this one I just can't side with anyone. This was just racing. This was just a racing incident, it seemed like. You know, they were both battling each other. Grosjean had fresher tires, was trying to get around, and Rossi just made a mistake. It happens, you know. The Devlin De Francesco one, that one I'm on Devlin's side, I think. Again, you know, I feel like maybe that was a little bit of frustration on Rossi's part. I didn't see a full replay of that. But as far as the first wreck, which I think is the biggest one we need to talk about, I think Roman, again, he has every right to be upset. Say what you will, you know, put your opinions on him aside. He does have a point to be upset. He has every right to be, because he absolutely got dogged in that race. And you know what? The other thing is he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That argument can be made as well. But I mean, to be honest, you know, again, you know, I get Rossi lost control of the steering wheel. It happens. But, you know, and again, I see both sides of it. That's just where I think I'll leave it off at. I see both sides of it. I just hope that they can fix this team chemistry, because it's looking pretty bad after Mid-Ohio. I think Andretti's got some big problems with team chemistry, and it's time to start working on it. It's not just the cars now. Now it's team chemistry that they've got to fix. They've really got to work on that going into Toronto for the next race. Ryan Newman, he gets the win at Stafford. It is his first SRX win. Of course, I believe he also extended his point lead, so congratulations to him. Of course, Paul Tracy also ended up on the podium. A very rare appearance there for him, and I say that, you know, seriously. We got to move forward, though. F1, of course, Sergio Perez gets his first F1 win. Of course, the win also for Ferrari. But the big story, of course, Zhou Guanyu flips and he hits the fence early in the British Grand Prix. Kind of rode on the roof there for a bit. Of course, he was seen walking in the infield in the post-race, so that's always a good sign when he's out and walking around. Another driver was taken to the hospital for further evaluations, but again, enough can't be said about the halo and the safety innovations across all of motorsports, you know, not just IndyCar, not just NASCAR, F1 as well. They've done so much to make sure that the drivers are safe behind the wheel. And to see Zhou get out and walk around after the race, I think is huge. And also for Perez to get his first win, another big thing there. Of course, normally it's the Red Bull and Mercedes show, so it's always good to see Ferrari get back to victory lane in F1. On to more news. Of course, Justin Marks has announced that he is coming out of his NASCAR retirement now after running SRX. He will run the Camping World Truck Series race at Mid-Ohio for Nice Motorsports. For Marks, this will mark punny. But for Marks, this will mark his first NASCAR start since 2018. Of course, his last start was at the Charlotte Roval in the NASCAR Cup Series. It is also his first truck start since 2018 at Las Vegas. Of course, after 2018, if you all remember, he retired from NASCAR competition. He was widely known as a road course ringer across the NASCAR garage. And I feel like he's going to be a contender. Of course, my pick will come up at the end of the episode. But, you know, I think Justin Marks is finally getting the itch to return to racing. If I'm going to be totally honest, I think he's getting the itch to go back to racing. And I think there's two things that aren't talked about enough that should be talked about. And maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but I feel like these two things should be brought up. Of course, Project 91 was announced this year, and Kimi Räikkönen's driving at Watkins Glen. And then Project 91, the third Trackhouse car in the NASCAR Cup Series, will run in 2023 on a part-time basis. The other thing to note, Nice Motorsports wants to enter into the NASCAR Cup Series and run a select schedule with Carson Hocevar. Of course, Project 91, they want to use world-class drivers, but have not ruled out having Jimmy Johnson drive the car. They have not, of course, we know Elio's looking for a ride as well for the Daytona 500 because we know for a fact he will be running that race next year. That said, Justin Marks returning to racing. Is this a possibility that Justin Marks could add Project 91 starts this season or next? I think that's starting to become a possibility, and I don't think it's talked about near enough. It has not been talked about yet, I don't think. I brought it up on Twitter. I would like to see it happen. Maybe at the Charlotte Roval, I could see it happening where Justin Marks returns to the NASCAR Cup Series and drives that 91 for his own team. Of course, he'd be the second driver or owner driver to BJ McLeod right now. So, again, something I would like to see. And then the other possibility, of course, looking ahead to 2023, is it possible that Nice Motorsports that Project 91 could seek a charter for the 2023 season, and the races they are not running with Project 91, they give the car to Nice Motorsports and let Carson Hocevar run. So Hocevar would run the races that the Project 91 drivers would not run. I'm saying that I could see that as a possibility, that these two pair up. Of course, Ross Chastain, a long history with Nice Motorsports. Daniel Suarez, a fill-in driver for Nice Motorsports this season at Sonoma. And now Justin Marks driving for Nice Motorsports. I wouldn't be shocked if these two teams pair up. I would not be shocked if they partner up and try to build both their programs up in the future. Maybe possibly Nice being a development team for Trackhouse Racing, as again, Carson Hocevar, he's probably going to move up the ladder at the end of the season. You know, he's really putting on a good show in the Truck Series, and I feel like, you know, he should get Xfinity starts first, but, you know, I think Cup is certainly on the radar right now. So again, something I don't think we should rule out at this point. That Justin Marks could run a race or two this year in the 91, and possibly a Nice partnership with the 91 entering next season. This one's the biggest news, I think. Voyager, of course, the cryptocurrency. If you don't know, this is Landon Castle's primary sponsor in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Colleague, and of course, select NASCAR Cup Series races that he drives for Spire. They have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Of course, we've seen sponsorship issues in the past. The most recent, I believe, was Jeffrey Earnhardt and IK9 with Joe Gibbs Racing and all that. We saw that debacle. And this is huge because Landon Castle's primary sponsorship all comes from cryptocurrency, and primarily Voyager. This does not look good. Of course, Landon Castle, he's been knocking on the door of some race wins this year. He's certainly knocking on the door of the Xfinity Series playoffs, and you could argue that this is his best ride that he's ever had in his career, or possibly since 2008 when he drove part-time for Junior Motorsports. It's not a good look. Honestly, you know, I'm sure Colleague will find a way to sponsor Landon Castle. I hope they do the right thing and try to do it. Maybe Leaf Filter jumps on board for a couple races to fill out the schedule. You know, At this point, though, there's a possibility, I'm just saying, there's a possibility they could lend that car to a Cup Series driver and scale back to part-time racing for Landon himself. I wouldn't rule it out. You know, we know Ross Chastain has a history with Colleague Racing. Worldwide Express could jump on and say, hey, we'll back him. We want him to run at Watkins Glen, or, you know, something to that matter. You know, maybe Justin Marks jumps in the car at Watkins Glen. You know, it's not looking good for Landon Castle in terms of finishing out the season, and I don't think it looks good in terms of his 2023 prospects. Of course, I believe he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. This could put him back at JD Motorsports starting next season. That is a possibility. You know, maybe he goes to Spire full-time in the Cup Series, you know, but in terms of finishing out this season in the task at hand, he might be in a lot of trouble going forward. Of course, we will follow up on this story on Out of Turn 4 going forward. But for now, let's make the picks. For SRX at Nashville, I'm going to pick Joseph Newgarden. Of course, Joseph Newgarden is expected to drive there this weekend. And we know Joseph Newgarden can win in anything he touches. So that's why I'm going to go with him. Truck Series Mid-Ohio, Justin Marks is my pick. I feel like, you know, him and that pairing, of course, and the fact that he knows how to drive that track versus the other truck drivers, some of which have not seen Mid-Ohio, I feel like this gives him a leg up on the competition. Xfinity Series at Atlanta, I'm going to go with Austin Hill. He was strong at all the super speedways earlier this year, or both of them. You know, I wouldn't rule out Ryan Sieg as a dark horse, but I feel like Austin Hill could get the job done at Atlanta the second time through. Cup Series at Atlanta, I'm going to go with the runner-up in the Cup race earlier this year, and that was Ross Chastain. I feel like he will break through and be the first one to hit the 3-win mark this season. So again, SRX Nashville, Joseph Newgarden is my pick. Trucks at Mid-Ohio, Justin Marks. Xfinity at Atlanta, Austin Hill. Cup Series at Atlanta, Ross Chastain. Those are my picks for this weekend in auto racing. And of course, we want to thank you for watching. We hope you'll tune in tomorrow to No Final Bell. Jason and Marty will be back. Happy birthday to Jason, by the way. Of course, today is his birthday. He is not here today, but he will be on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Or tomorrow, generally. But be sure to tune in to No Final Bell. They will both be on. And be sure to comment happy birthday to him. And of course, we will be back next Tuesday here with another edition of Out of Turn 4. Until then, goodbye, everyone.